Okay, everybody can see the presentation? All right. So, well, let's face it, 2020 was no fun for anybody. And I think everyone on this call is relieved that we've moved into the new year. There's lots of change, there's lots of transition. And some of us really came to rely on self-care in 2020 as just a way to survive. What we're going to do today is introduce a different concept. So, self-care isn't just to rescue health or to do when you're stressed, it's really something that can promote health. And what we're going to do today is we're going to give you a new approach that you can easily remember and easily do and hopefully build into your routines. We're also going to get a jump start on creating your own personalized self-care plan. And we're going to have a process and a tool when we're finished today so that you can really dive into self-care and turn it into an enjoyable routine and practice. Sounds good? Here we go. All right, so everybody has perhaps a different definition of self-care. What I would invite you all to do is just start chatting away about some of your definitions of self-care. So we'll do this for about a minute and see what happens. So just jot down a few ideas on what you think self-care is. Downtime, time for myself, hiking, nature, exercise, quiet times, doing things that feed my spirit, getting out in nature. These are all good components of self-care. So today, I'm going to make it really easy to remember by breaking down the word self-care. So let's start with self. The big S, sleep. How many times do we go to the doctor or someone says, how is your sleep? Or we realize we're not feeling very well and nothing's right because we aren't getting any sleep, or we're worried and staying up all night and having trouble sleeping. Sleep is huge, and it's really, really important to try to get at least 7 to 8 hours, but some people can do 6 hours. You know, it depends on who you are, but the guidelines are at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And exercise. Exercise is one of those things where, you know, not all people like to go to the gym, not all people like classes, but it's really all about movement. And I like to say, you know, getting up every 15 minutes, especially when we're working at home, just taking time to move. And, you know, recommended that, you know, there's all kinds of guidelines for, you know, 175 hours of moderate aerobic exercise, 75 hours of aerobic, 300 hours of intense, whatever it is for you. For me, it's just get up and do something for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. And that's considered exercise. And it's so critical to keep the rest of the self-care going. Liquids. So these are liquids that are hydrating, and water is the obvious, right? So if you're drinking liquids that aren't hydrating, like alcohol or caffeine, it's really important to kind of balance one with the other. So for example, if I'm drinking a glass of wine, I might follow it up with water. If I'm having a lot of coffee in the morning, I might go out of my way to drink more water before lunch. And the other guideline is really to remember to just drink lots of liquid before exercise, during exercise, and before meals and during meals. And ironically, your body can't tell the difference between food and between hunger and thirst. So really, when you're feeling kind of hungry or you're watching a sporting game and you want to get some nachos, consider drinking something, and you'll find that sometimes you were just dehydrated. Another thing to do is monitor your hydration levels. If you don't feel right or you feel kind of off, how's your urine? Is it yellow? Is it clear? The guideline is to really strive for clear urine or light urine unless you're on a lot of vitamin B or vitamins. So that's liquid, and it's really, really critical. Without hydration, health is in jeopardy. And last but not least, the F in self for food. So it's not fast food, but it's food as a fuel. And really think about food as, is this a good food? Is this a healthy choice? And we all know about the colored vegetables and fruits, you know, the berries and the greens. And we all know about the good fats, meaning the omega-3s, the salmon, the nuts, the olive oil, those types of things. Well, we're human beings, we like our treats. So I always say the old 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time I'm making good food choices, then that 20%, that's my treat, and I'm going to be okay with that. Because no one can really do it 100% of the time, right? Some people might have to go 90-10. So whatever diet you're on or whatever programmer you're on, just remember the 80-20 rule and try to make some good choices. Okay, so that's the self part. So now let's move into the care part. And for me, this is the fun part, and this is the part that everybody has a personalized approach to. So first of all, if it's not enjoyable, you're not going to do it. So care must be enjoyable. This is care for you, and you've got to like doing it. And it's got to be restorative. If it's depletive, then it's not care. So whatever you're doing in the care side, it's got to be restorative. And relaxing and comforting. These are things that you do that make you feel good, that make you unwind, that make you feel safe. And healthy. There are lots of ways to numb yourself with unhealthy choices and make it feel like care, but it's really not care because you end up maybe not sleeping well or maybe even dehydrated. So think about it as being something really healthy and restorative that you do. And personalized. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It's what you enjoy, what makes you relax. All right, so now we're going to move into the care piece and what it really is doing for us that makes it part of self-care. So the relaxation response is really critical. And it only happens when you're safe. So if you're in a traffic jam, stressed out and the roads are icy, you're not going to be having the relaxation response. You'll be doing just the opposite. Stresses at work, stresses over what's going on in our world. All of these things are not part of the relaxation response. So we have to take the action to actually create this. This is the proactive part. So here's what we do. First of all, what does it do? It regulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's the rest and digest part of our nervous system. So it's critical. And it can block the effects of stress. So let's say you're genuinely stressed out and you decide you're going to, induce the relaxation response. It can actually promote a slower heart rate, lower the blood pressure, blood sugar, better sleep, less aches and pains, better digestion, all of the above. It's really very, very critical that we add this care part to our self-care program. It's good. It's not just good, it's essential for all mental and physical well-being. All right, now we're going to develop our own list. And I'll kind of get you started with this. And what do you do to create this relaxation response? So I'm going to call this the R&R list. And this is going to be a list of activities that we do to create this wonderful relaxation response. So this person laying in the flowers, this might not even be something that she's really doing. She actually could be sitting at her desk, going to your happy place. So if you're stressed out, you can actually sit at your desk and just take a deep breath and go, oh, I want to be at the beach, or I want to be out in the pasture with my horse, or I want to be in a bed of flowers, wherever it is. It can happen without even being there. It's called going to your happy place. Now, when it's springtime, you could actually visit your happy place. In this case, could be looking out at a sunset, could be standing there with a warm beverage, just contemplating nature and listening for things that are happening around you, with birds, what have you. Most important for me, especially during this period where we're in our homes a lot and we're working in our homes, is to find a place in your house and designate it my happy place, or my little quiet place, or my place for R&R. And in this case, have what you like there. Have your pet there, have your feet up, make sure that you have a place in your home that you go to that you can just go, ooh, I'm just relaxing. Sometimes when I'm out in nature, I just stand and look at the snow and go, gosh, who's been here before? Look at all these tracks. Go out in nature and look at something, study it for a while, just like look at what's going on. Some people want to get out in nature and make snow angels. Play some music, listen to some music. And this is kind of controversial. I argue with people. I believe that ice fishing is self-care, for me anyway, because when I go out there, I never catch anything. I'm always looking at the hole, waiting for something to show up or take a bite. And so for me, ice fishing is actually self-care. So That gets you going. Now I'd like you guys to take a few minutes and just start your own list, either in the chat box or actually just jot it down on a piece of paper, because we'll finish it up later. But go ahead, come up with your own. Let's take a few minutes. There's nothing in the chat box, but maybe you're writing it down on a piece of paper or something, creating your own list. All right, everybody had a chance to think about that? Like, what would you put on your R&R list? All right. Okay, so we've gone through a lot and you've got this. So what are we going to do about it? How are we going to implement it? First thing, let's go back to sleep and exercise and liquids and food, self. Best way to make sure you get sleep is to be first mindful of it, and wake up and sleep times are important. So try to determine in a given week when you're going to get out of bed and when you're going to go to sleep, and use your smartphones to basically set these reminders and notifications. Then the next thing is exercise. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time for exercise. Well, you know what I started doing, which is something that really works for me, is I schedule my entire do list on my calendar, including my critical sacred exercise time. So I put it on there, and that makes sure that I actually do it. And then liquids, this has already kind of taken hold across the country, is really have the water with you at all times. That's the best way to do it. I've got my water here. It's time to take some sips. When it's with you, you get to drink it. And again, before and after meals and exercise, during exercise. Food, follow the 80-20 rule. And then, portions are really critical. I used to eat like practically a 10-ounce piece of salmon and go, oh, I'm so healthy. And I really never lost the weight I was trying to lose. But maybe minimize your portions. A 3 or 4 ounce piece is the same. So depending on what your food goals are and what you're trying to do with your weight, just follow the 80-20 rule. All right. So we're in the home stretch here today, and I'd like us to kind of finish our R&R list and maybe even consider starting tonight. So I'm looking here at the list. I see watching the sunset. I see hiking in the snow with my horse by my side. Some other things are coming in. So we'll go ahead and finish our list after the call today, and keep your list handy. Because if you can refer to it, I don't know if you can still see me or not, or you're just seeing the screen. I've got my list and I look at it in the morning, and I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I haven't started doing. And I go, oh, geez, I've got some great ideas. And now we've got some more things coming in: hiking, snowmobile trails by my house, curled up reading in my reading chair, lighting a candle and listening to music, taking the dogs for a walk. Okay. Zumbas. How do you do during COVID? Zumba is fun. Okay. Time with my pet. Zumba. By the way, dancing. Sometimes when I can't get out and I just feel tense, I will turn on my favorite old school music and just dance. And it looks kind of funny. I usually do it alone, but it feels great when it's over. It just releases the stress and gets me settled again. Schedule some time to start and stop work. During this COVID time, where your office sometimes is right in your living room with your family even, or your kitchen, or you've got the fortune to have your own separate room, you could be working technically all the time. And you really need to set the boundaries of when am I going to start, when am I going to stop, and try to adhere to them. And some people are going to want to do this self-care in the morning. Some people are going to maybe have a few meditations, or they're going to want to do some in the evening. It doesn't have to be a lot. And take the time needed. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's a whole day where you just need it. And I really invite everyone to do what works for you, and to listen to your bodies. The body knows, like, start being self-aware, like, what's going on with me? I don't feel good. It's time for me to initiate the relaxation response. So you've really got to keep a mindfulness on your body and listen to what it's asking for. And keep things interesting. Don't do the same thing twice. And that's why I really encourage you to have this list of great stuff that you personally enjoy doing. And then, the good weather days, like we've been so blessed this winter to have some decent January's days. And, when it's nice out, why not take advantage of it? When there's a fresh snow or that beautiful, glaze and frost that's in the trees, these are great days to get out. And then find a buddy. There are a lot of walking clubs. There are a lot of, people that are doing things to promote self-care and wellness. And it's always better when you've got someone to do it with, either in your family or at work or your friends, or your spouse, or your dog or your horse, and enroll them in your care plan. Okay, we're getting down to this now. I'm going to send this to you, or Karen and Cara are going to send this to you afterwards. And this is something that, as I mentioned, I keep here, and it's something you can create this endless list of relaxation responses and really dive in this year and get a jump start on your health and well-being. Practices don't happen without doing them every day and turning them into habits, right? So 2 weeks is kind of the minimal time that I give clients practices. So I'm inviting all of us to do this for at least 2 weeks and hopefully beyond. Are you in for that? Maybe everybody can let me know how you feel about that. Or are you open to trying this out for a couple weeks? I'll give a few moments and you can let me know in the chat box. Yay, we've got some yeses coming in. Count me in. All right, absolutamente. Here we go. That's great to hear. Really, really good to hear. Okay, I want to save some time for questions, so we're almost done. But listen, if for some reason you get off course a few days, doesn't mean you start over. It means you start where you left off. It's going to be challenging some days. My biggest piece, believe it or not, is drinking water. I'm just not thirsty. So if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And change is not always comfortable, but this is a great time of the year to initiate good practices. And I bet you're wondering, why haven't we seen anyone meditating? Well, there she is. She's meditating. And I know our weather isn't there yet, but find that spot in your house to meditate. And I really wish you all the best in doing this. And I thank you so much for coming today. What a great number of people that are interested in health and self-care. And I just want to open it up for questions. We've got almost 10 minutes left. Actually, we had a little bit of time left, at least 5 minutes. So any questions?
Monica, this is Karen. There is one in the chat box just about Zumba, how you do it, since we're not in person. And somebody else did put down virtual. Any suggestions as to websites if you're looking for an opportunity to do something indoors around Zumba, or around, how about any meditation apps or suggestions that you may have?
Well, it's interesting. There are some places that are going to be opening up in the Brainerd Lakes area, but a lot of people aren't comfortable going to classes. I would actually just Google it, because I know that my friends and colleagues in California say they're doing all of their Zumbas and things at home. So if you Google it, you can tap into maybe something in another part of the country, or maybe even something in our community. Regarding meditation apps, Calm is free. It's actually called Calm. I also downloaded this app called Tapping Solutions. So that's where you're actually, doing things like this. And really, there's nice music, and it's a guided meditation. And I don't know if you're on Fitbit or not, or what type of health app, if you have, but I use the Fitbit meditations. They're just fabulous. And they're categorized by morning stuff. Are you having trouble getting going? Are you unfocused? Are you stressed? Do you want motivation? So, it's the good news with technology is there's so many free apps, but my favorite is Calm and the Fitbit one. And anyone else, you can type in if you've got other apps that you guys like too. So, I mean, Google it and try it and delete it if you don't like it, and try a new one is my real recommendation, because they're out there, and thank goodness they are. Good question.
And there are some, if you look at the chat box, if you're curious, there are some suggestions in there. If you have Netflix, Headspace has a program on it. And then my Zumba instructor is running virtual classes, very thankful. And Jazzercise on demand. I think that's the one thing with being at home is people have gotten innovative, and there are opportunities for action that we probably didn't do before, that you can Google it, like you say, and look for that.
Right. And something happened to me with yoga. Yoga isn't just like all the same. Sometimes there's just a yoga pose. So I have a couple, I call it my yoga soundtrack. And some mornings, well, while the coffee's being made, I'll just start doing yoga in my kitchen. And the dog looks at me funny, and but I do it, and it just it's something to do before I actually drink that cup of coffee. But you can get creative in your home, and get creative outside as well. Yep.
Are there any other questions? Another good suggestion I really enjoy Leslie Sansone, Walk at Home, several DVDs.
Yeah.
Well, if there are no further questions, I want to thank you, Monica. And I will send out, this is Karen, and we will send out to you the slides as well as the documents. They'll be very helpful in starting self-care or continuing self-care. And I think we'll give everybody back then 4 minutes today when they can.
Yeah, and I just want to invite you all to take this on as a lifestyle, not just something to do in the new year. And I really wish you well on your journey. And I thank you so much for being here today. And also, if you want any more information about self-care, or you've got other big things going on this year, personal, professional changes or goals you want to achieve, let's connect. And you can reach me at unbridled-horizons with an s.com. And you can also reach out to me with my contact information. So it was really an honor to be invited to speak with you. And I'm so excited for our coming year, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.